Hello and welcome to the Game Theory Podcast on YouTube. I'm Sam Vecenie. With me over in Las Vegas is Matt Pennie. Periodically, over the course of the next few weeks before the 2022 NBA draft, we are going to dive deep into prospects that could be selected in the first round of that draft. Today, we're talking Malaki Branham, the Ohio State guard who won the Big Ten Freshman of the Year award. We're going to talk about his offense, his defense, his overall prospect value, and then we're going to talk about some potential team fits. Pennie, I give you the floor. Give us everything we need to know about Malaki Branham.
Malaki Branham of Ohio State, the Big Ten Freshman of the Year, measured at 6'5.5" with a 6'10" wingspan at the NBA Combine, averaged 13.7 points, 3.6 rebounds, 2 assists, 1.7 turnovers, nearly 20 points per game in the second half of the year, shot 49.8% from the field, 41.6% from three, 83.3% from the free throw line. A lot of big games this year, too. Had 35 points on 6 of 10 from 3 against Nebraska. Had 24 points on 13 of 14 from the free throw line versus Northwestern. Had 31 at Illinois, 27 and 5 at Indiana. 23 points of 10 of 19 shooting in a season-ending game versus Villanova, and ranked in the 94th percentile in pick and roll this year per Synergy.
So the thing with Malaki is just the shot making at the end of the day, right? And for as good as he was as a three-point shooter, he made 42% from three. He's more of a mid-range gunner at this point.
Yeah.
Like, he hit an absolutely ridiculous number of shots out of ball screens this year. He hit 60% of his shots out of ball screens. That is an insane number, given that 40% of those shots were pull-up jumpers from outside of 8 feet. He loves the 1 or 2 dribble stop and pop off of a side ball screen. He gets into that 16-foot area around the elbows, and he can make them just with relative ease. Like, he walks into them, and that's his just money shot, right? Mechanically, I like his pull-up jumper. He elevates into it. He gives himself a clean look at the rim. Has a little bit of a natural lean, but he has great balance as he elevates. Like, he lands in the same spot every time. Has a very high release point as well, so he doesn't need as much space to get the shot off. Has all the little tricks of the trade, too, to get just like that little bit of separation. Like, he'll throw his shoulder into a guy's chest. Like, he has like a little mini push-off move, or he'll pound dribble like into a hesitation pull up, right? Like, the contact isn't going to bother him. Just plays off of his defenders really, really well. Hit 44% on his pull-up jumpers. That was top 25 nationally, according to Synergy, among the 402 players nationally in college basketball that took at least 75 pull-up jumpers. Branham's a scorer. That's what he is, baby.
He is. He's a downhill attacker with great elevation on the pull-up jumper. I love how he stops on a dime to pull up to. Really hard stop, and he's straight up before you know it. And it's smarter, not harder. It's that NBA style in that he doesn't exert any extra energy, but keeps his man guessing on what his next move is going to be. For example, like he will do those drives and bump his shoulder to create a little bit of space and then step back and shoot. He's not going to blow by you, but he knows those tricks to kind of get to that next move. In a pick and roll league, he fits the bill as that type of effective scorer coming off screens. He has a little bit of a floater that he'll mix in there too. He rarely gets all the way to the rim, so he has to be really at those mid-range jumpers and touch on his floaters. Very good at a catch and shoot, though. I love how he always has a target. It's quick, it's fluid, it's compact. There's not many wasted movements there. He moves well away from the ball to flatten out in the corners when he's off the ball, too. When another player's driving, he knows how to spatial awareness there to recognize to spread out the floor. It is a little bit low. The shot's low, and a common knock is how will that translate moving backwards with an either deeper NBA three-point line that he had in college. For the passing and other facets of his game, he feeds the post well. I do think the reads outside of that for passing have to improve. He can be turnover prone. Just it's reading the defense of a weak side when they're jumping the lane. They're fixable. They're correctable errors, some of the turnovers that he has each game. But overall, my takeaway is that he's fearless. He was a freshman, and by the end, by the middle of the year, the offense was running through him. By the end of the year, and the end of the season, the team was looking for him for what's next. They're going to go as far as he's going to help carry them. I would be excited for the future if I were a team drafting him in the first round.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, for a guy who plays with as much of a physical style as he plays with, right? Like he is trying to use his shoulders. He's trying to use his body to create that separation. Like he doesn't like I don't love his finishing ability. Like it feels like he doesn't have like a ton of crazy moves. Like a lot of it is he's just touch floatering it over the top of guys. And the thing that he does that kind of frustrates me is he when he's trying to finish, he actually like tries to go away from contact. He doesn't draw really many fouls at all. It feels like that's a real part of his game that you would hope that he could improve because he's just not very strong through his lower half right now. Like he gets displaced on his drives a lot, it feels like, and he gets knocked back and like it's weird. Like he's not a like incredible ball handler. Like he doesn't, doesn't feel like he's comfortable changing pace and like going at his own pace all the time. And like he's not like a live dribble passing threat. Like he doesn't have seemingly great control over the ball. There's some real concerns there just in terms of, okay, can you really be a mid-range gunner in the way that he is and be efficient? In his case, I think he can, as long as the 3-point shot continues to develop and continues to get to the point where he can be a 40% shooter from that range. But like, there are more holes here than what immediately meets the eye when you just look at a guy who averaged almost 20 points per game over the last half of the year and did it efficiently from like seemingly all three levels.
Yeah, but somehow finds a way to be productive. Even with all these knocks, he's still scoring. He was still going blow for blow with Villanova, Final Four team in the NCAA tournament. So what he's
Yep.
able to do now, even with these shortcomings, just leads me to believe that in time working on that with some lower body strength, with extending the shot at the 3-point range, with adding a little bit more of a finishing package, he's going to take even another jump as time wears on here.
So this is before we get to the defense. I do not think he's a very good defender right now. I don't think Ohio State seemed to trust him. Like there were times where like they would play offense, defense late in games for him and then bring him back on the court. Just doesn't have a ton of explosiveness. I think that he struggles to just corral ball handlers. That lower half strength, like guys kind of go through him with ease. Like you can look at this and say, okay, as soon as he gets some lower body strength and he's physical, he's willing to play with contact, it's just that he doesn't have the ability to yet, that you would kind of hope that he can become a better defender. But like his awareness defensively is also not very good. Like he's not very good on closeouts. Like he seems to miss guys, miss cutters, like misses tags. He's just kind of asleep at the wheel a little bit more often defensively. Yeah.
It's not awesome. And we talk about limited bend a lot. He has next to no bend on or off the ball. He's really straight up. That's why he gets caught up in screens a lot. His head's not on a swivel. So too many moments of like that, oh crap, and a sprint and recover when it could have been a much easier slide if you were just in a better position to start. Didn't have to be such like the house is on fire. Can he get to a place where he's an adequate defender? I don't know if he's ever going to be an elite defender, but can it be a place where we're not going offense, defense, and we can keep him on the floor to end games or in crunch time, knowing that he's not going to get hunted and he's not going to be picked on by NBA coaches who are really good at finding that and exploiting those mismatches in the half court.
Yeah, that's the key. Like that's ultimately the key to his game. He's got to get way better defensively. Look, where are we at on Malaki Branham? I knowing you, I think I'm a little bit lower than you are, but
okay.
Let's talk about it.
I'm ambitious. I have him 9th on my board, but in terms of the actual fit in teams, I could see the Pelicans as high as 8. I could see Washington at 9, Oklahoma City at 12, Charlotte at 13, 15, Storybook back to Cleveland, back to his hometown at 14. There's a lot of good landing spots. I would also be surprised if he gets outside of that top 20, just based on the buzz and based off the projection as a younger player.
Okay. So I'm lower. This is like one of the guys where we might be most divergent on this year, which is fun. I have him more in like the 17 to 22.
That's not bad.
Range
I thought you were gonna say 28 or something. Yeah.
No. I'm not that low on him, but like I do like guys like Tari Eason and Dalen Terry and Jalen Williams out of Santa Clara better. And the reason for that really does come down to the intersection of his lack of explosiveness and his lack of defensive awareness. On top of the fact that we do have some like fairly real worries about his 3-point shooting, right? Like
We do,
this,
yeah.
this, you know, he's a quiet shot, but it is a low release point, and I do worry about what it looks like off of movement. Uh, he needs to be able to shoot off of movement, and he needs to be able to knock down threes at a 40% clip. Otherwise, it's just hard for me to see a pathway toward him being efficient enough to be a starter in the NBA. I do think Malaki Branham is going to play in the NBA for a long time because he is an effective scorer, but I don't know. I'm a little bit lower. Yeah, anywhere from like Cleveland, sure, at 14, that could be a reasonable fit. You know, Houston could make sense. They seem to be, stockpiling guys on the wing that can shoot. San Antonio, again, stockpiling wings that can shoot. Maybe not the best fit, but it is weird. Like you start to get into that, like, 10 to 20 range. The Knicks could make sense maybe at 11. Oklahoma City, you can maybe make sense at 12, although they have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Lou Dort, Josh Giddey. 13, Charlotte just took James Bouknight last year. 14, Cleveland has a lot of these like offense first perimeter players, right? 15, Charlotte again. 16, Atlanta has Kevin Huerter and Bogdan Bogdanovic. Houston has Jalen Green already. Chicago has a ton of guards already, and plus they have Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan. 19, Minnesota has Anthony Edwards and some other guards like Jalen Noel, who, by the way, like a lot of similarities between Malaki Branham and Jalen Noel, in my opinion.
I mean, we're in the tumble zone where it's like, does Malaki Branham actually get drafted? And I think the answer is yes. I do. I still think he's going to be a first-round pick. But he's also not being drafted to be an immediate contributor. If you're drafting Ochai Agbaji, you're kind of hoping in that 13-15, he's been mocked a lot of times to Charlotte. There's a guy who can step in and probably give you 18 minutes a night right now. I wouldn't draft Malaki Branham and have that expectation of him as a rookie, and probably not even as a second-year player. So if I'm going down the line and projecting, I'm not talking about right here, right now, I'd feel a lot better. But if you need to win and you're in the hot seat and you need to contribute, that wouldn't be the guy that I'd suggest you take either.
Yeah, and look, at the end of the day, a lot of these teams in that range are just going to draft the best player available, and there's probably someone in that range that has Malaki Branham as the best player available. This has been the Game Theory Podcast on YouTube. That's Matt Pennie over in Las Vegas. I'm Sam Vecenie. We will be back later this week with more.